Good morning. My name is Michael Wetta. I am the Associate Librarian at the Painted Desert Campus in Holbrook. I am going to briefly speak with you about open educational resources and their use here at NPC. Now, let's start by quickly defining what OER are. OER is commonly defined as teaching, learning, and research materials in any format or medium that reside in the public domain or have been licensed in a manner that provides everyone with free and perpetual permission to perform the following activities, known as the 5R activities. And they are retain, make copies indefinitely, reuse in a variety of ways, revise the resource, remix by combining additional resources, and redistribute the resource. OER can consist of anything from supplemental materials such as a single infographic or activity to lesson plans and lectures to even full textbooks or full courses. Now, most likely you all have already created some resources that are just missing a couple of small steps to be considered actual open educational resources, licensing the materials and making them available for use by others. So it is a good idea to have an idea of how OER materials are licensed, even if you're not creating your own OER materials, because there is a massive amount of OER materials already available that anyone can make use of, either as is or adapted to your specific needs. So the main system that is overwhelmingly used with OER is Creative Commons licenses, which provide a standardized method to grant public permission under copyright law for use of a creative work. Now, I included these slides because I know copyrights and licensing can be extremely complex, but Creative Commons licensing is fairly general and simple, consisting of just 6 licenses that are based on 4 concepts and the combinations of those concepts. The first concept is attribution, giving credit to the original creator, and this is required in all Creative Commons licenses. Then we have share alike. Any new creation must use the same licensing. Followed by non-commercial. The materials can only be used for non-commercial purposes. Finally, we have no derivatives. Changes cannot be made to the original items. Now, these are arranged in order from most open to least. And technically, an item is not in an OER if its license includes the no derivatives aspect, since you wouldn't be able to revise the item, one of the 5 R's of OER previously mentioned. Now, the way these 4 concepts are combined in the 6 Creative Commons licenses will affect how you can use a resource or how your resource can be used by others. The CC BY license is the most open license and only requires giving credit to the original author. CC BY SA requires providing attribution for the original author and the use of the same licensing for any materials developed using this resource. CC BY NC requires attribution and non-commercial use of this resource. Next, we have CC BY NC SA, which is similar to CC BY NC, but also requires using the same license for all materials developed using this resource. And finally, there is CC BY ND, which requires attribution and that no adaptations can be made of the resource. And we have CC BY NC ND, which adds the stipulation of no commercial use for this resource. As you may imagine, these licenses were designed to cover the main concerns of licensing and for ease of use. As you create OER or for OER you plan on using. At the bottom of this page is an example of a typical attribution, which would be included whenever using an item under a Creative Commons license. It ideally consists of the title of the original work, its creator, the source where it was found, and the CC license itself. Just this simple statement satisfies the attribution portion, and then you just have to make sure that your intended use does not violate any other stipulations for that license. Next, I want to briefly bring up items in the public domain and open access items, because not only can you make use of these items in your courses, these items are also just open educational resources waiting to become, if their licensing allows for it. Public domain and open access items are very similar to open educational resources because their licensing or lack thereof can make it much easier to make use of them. Public domain items should be completely free to use, but open access items might have some stipulations in their licensing that limit their use. The main distinction then is that public domain and open access items do not have any directions detailing how they are to be employed in a classroom setting. So basically, prepare the materials for use in the classroom, possibly by creating a lesson plan or directions for the materials. Make those items available to others, and you have turned that public domain or open access item into an open educational resource. Now that we have an idea of what OER are, you might be saying to yourself, well, that sounds well and good, but why should I use OER? And there are a myriad of reasons, but we will just touch on some of the main ones. First, of course, is cost. One of the largest barriers, especially these days, is the cost of higher education. And an aspect which many persons do not take into account is the cost of textbooks. 7 in 10 students have not purchased a textbook because it was too expensive. 60% of students have delayed purchasing textbooks until receiving financial aid. And the cost of textbooks is rising approximately 4 times the rate of inflation. All open educational resources are free to use. The use of OER has also been shown to increase student learning. Feldstein et al. Conducted a study in 2012 that showed that courses using OER textbooks more frequently had better average grades and lower failure and withdrawal rates than the same courses not using OER. A few additional reasons for using OER include accessibility. The vast majority of OER items are online and can be accessed anywhere at any time. And scalability. OERs are easy to distribute with little or no cost. Now, so far, these reasons have been focused more on the benefits to the student, but there are plenty of benefits to instructors for using OERs. The first one, adaptation. If you do not like how something is done in an OER or have a better method, you can make that change and create a whole new OER. Finding materials. Now, the main item you might think of with OER is full textbooks, but OER also includes supplementary materials like individual lessons and activities. And OER can also include interesting content such as videos to enhance a lesson or provide additional context. Next, OERs can be developed very quickly, comparatively. New materials, including textbooks, and this can increase the timeliness or relevance of the materials. Continual improvement, whether through updates from the original creator or from the revision revisions of others, items are being continually improved. Um, Now that you have some idea of how using OER can benefit students and instructors, let's take a look at some very sobering statistics from NPC students about their use of textbooks and some pretty impressive statistics of the benefits that have been realized through the actual use of OERs at NPC. Okay. During the summer of 2024, NPC conducted a student survey inquiring about the use of textbooks by students and about OERs. Of those NPC students surveyed, 46% said that the cost of textbooks was a significant barrier to taking courses. Of these students, 96% have resorted to various strategies to make do without a textbook. And these include borrowing textbooks from classmates, using library resources, enrolling in courses that didn't require textbooks, or finding OER alternatives on their own to reduce costs. Now, similarly, 45% of surveyed students reported having not purchased required textbooks in the past. Of those, 86% continued in the course and tried to pass the course, but 68% ultimately did not complete the course. Now, we also asked students about our students about OER and found that only 27% were aware of what OERs are. Now, some courses at NPC have been using OER for a while now, which has provided great savings for students. Now, to put the following statistics into context, in the summer of 2024, 48% of NPC faculty reported using OER or OA open access materials in their courses, but only 19% indicated that they are only using OER or open access resources in their courses. So that gives you a little bit of context for how much OER is being used at NPC and how it relates to the following numbers. From the fall semester of 2020 through the spring semester of 2023, in just 2.5 years, we estimate that NPC students have saved $570,067 through courses employing OERs or other free resources as textbooks. In just the spring semester of 2023, we estimate that NPC students saved $106,276.23. And these are just conservative estimates. NPC's science department has estimated that from 2015 to 2023, their students have saved a combined total of well over $250,000 in textbooks and lab manual costs. The English department estimates that from 2018 to 2023, students have saved $338,193 from just the 2 required English composition courses. Okay, OER and other open resources are a great way to not only supplement and enhance your courses, but as you see, using OER in your courses can make a huge difference for your students. Thank you.